It's just so wild to me, Christina, because like I know some of this about you, but like hearing all of this and like all of the details, I don't even want my mom to listen to this episode now. So, Julia, just don't. Like, this one's not for you.
Turn it off now, Julia.
If you've gotten this far, just stop. Like, erase your ears.
Hallelujah, I am saved, I am so glad I am. Glory, 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 glory to God.
Hello, heathens. Welcome to our very first crossover episode with none other than Tara from Pouty Mouth, the podcast for high-functioning heathens, recovering pick-me's, and anyone who escaped a high-demand religion with nothing but trauma and sarcasm. I'm Aaliyah.
I'm Christina.
And I'm Noe.
And I'm Tara.
Yes.
Beautiful. Perfect. Done. Yeah. Tara, you are an icon. You are a legend. You are the moment.
And how did you all meet?
So Noe and I have known each other for 10 years. She was one of my first friends after leaving religion. You know how hard it is to like make friends as an adult. And so I have just like, we have like clung on to this friendship. She had just had a baby and I had just left the church. And so we're both ex-Mormon. And we really bonded over that. And then Noe and Christina met through, not like I'm telling your guys' life story for you, but I will. They met in a Facebook homeschool parents group. They both homeschool their kids, but they're both like non-religious homeschool parents. And so they bonded over that. And they live in a pretty close proximity.
And we vaccinate our kids.
So they definitely stand out.
Raw milk?
Yeah. No. So I went to a meetup to find community for my kids. They do these co-ops where you get together with other homeschooled kids and their parents. And it was supposed to be secular. And I was like, okay, cool. But then I got there and they were talking about like curing autism and like bleach baths. And I was like, oh no. So I went on Facebook. I was like, is there anyone around here who is not religious, who like vaccinates and is a normal person who's not homeschooling for fucked up, crazy reasons? And I found her and we've been inseparable ever since. And then I introduced them and then we started a podcast.
It was literally the first day that I met Christina. She was like, I want to start a podcast. And I was like, okay. And I whipped out my phone and figured out how to start a podcast. And here we are.
Here we are.
I love it. And I love your guys' podcast. Like genuinely. The first episode I heard was with Britt Hartley.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. It's a good one.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like right up my alley. This is
and
so
you had her on your podcast too. I listened to her episode.
Yes.
She's so great.
She's so nice, like so down to earth. And Christina, you didn't grow up religious though?
No.
Okay. How did you hack that?
My parents, they just never introduced me to religion, never baptized me, never talked about God or anything really. Then when my mom remarried, her husband was like, if we have kids, we're putting like, you guys fucked up with this one. So my sister had to go to Catholic school from kindergarten to 8th grade because they felt like I was, the guinea pig. And they were like, okay, what can we do differently? Let's put this one in a religious school. But we turned out exactly the same. She's tattooed and pierced and liberal and yeah.
I know.
So,
and Catholic school kind of sounds fun to me. Like for friends, I had friends that like went to literally the only Catholic school that's like here in Utah that you can go to. And I loved going to their school. I thought it was like so much fun. Like we'd go to confessional there because there's like a church built with it.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is just so dramatic.
I know. Yeah.
It's so like old and like gothic.
I think confessional is way better than like Mormon confession ever.
Way cooler than talking to your bishop in his office. Right?
Yeah. And especially since like I don't go to that church at all. Like, so he's just like a random dude to me. I'm just a random girl to him. Versus I think if you were actually like in that parish or congregation, I don't think it would be as fun. Cause like then they definitely know who you are.
Exactly.
I don't know. It feels kind of secretive being inside that little box and like.
You don't think though that like a priest knows your voice and like. Yeah.
Can't you kind of see through the screen too, or no?
You can kind of see through the
so.
screen. I went to a Catholic high school, so there was a confession booth and like a chapel on campus. I never went, but like my friends would go. But yeah, no, I did have a overall good Catholic school experience.
Think about Superstar.
Oh,
yes. Remember Superstar?
Yes, with Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Yes.
Yes.
That was so good.
I've always wanted to do it in a confession booth.
Okay.
That's a
never
bucket
too-
list.
That could be a 2026 goal for you.
Yeah, it's never
I was
never
at
too late.
a Catholic funeral a few months ago.
Wrong
and
time.
I was,
Wrong time, Christina.
I know. But I just
Or
like
right
kept
time.
looking at it and I was
I
thinking
think
like,
it's the right time.
I don't
Would you just
know.
like
Could we
suck off
sneak
the priest in the confessional, or like
No, like my husband.
ugh, that makes it less fun?
Boring.
Christina.
Or I guess just some random funeral guy, whatever.
Yes. Now we're talking. Is this some kind of like genre of smut that I'm unaware of?
I don't
Sure
know,
it is.
but we
I
should
think
make
everything
it.
is.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I'll have to send you this book because that was literally like the storyline of like a stripper.
She sucked
and
off a
this
priest? I love this.
Yeah, and this priest, that they
Corrupt him. Corrupt the man.
they fell in love. Yeah, but he was like a weird guy. I don't know. It's like kind of those books
priest?
where it's
No.
A man of the cloth being a weird guy?
like
I've always known them to be really normal.
I don't know. It was a weird book because this priest was almost like in full psychosis where he'd have to like kill people who he thought were like bad. Yeah, it
Oh.
was a weird book. Now that
There's
I'm
a
looking
lot
at it.
going on there. Stripper,
Yeah.
a priest, murders, sucking him off in the
All-
confessional booth.
All the keys to a really good story. Yeah.
That's why I love that. I love everything about that.
I've talked about it before, but I had a friend who was Catholic, and every time she would have sex or blow a guy, she would go to confession. And I'm like, what, bitch? Like, why?
Don't do that.
Either stop doing it or stop confessing. Like, you're there every fucking day. What are
with
you
the
doing?
number of like
every
Hail
fuck-
Marys that she had to say, would it increase? Like, because the priest was like, okay, girl, like you keep doing it. You're not focused enough. Like, I know last time I gave you 25 Hail Marys. Now you got to do 50.
Right.
Now you got to do 100.
Her kink is Hail Marys.
If it's just that easy that you can do whatever you want and then you just admit it and you say some words and then you're fine.
Yeah. I think like a lot of Catholic people sometimes don't like have all of the shame surrounding it. I don't know. Cause like my friends, like that's kind of how they were. It was like, just go talk to the priest. You're good to go.
Right.
But then I had other friends who were like so Catholic. It was like so similar to Mormonism.
Yeah, I guess there's varying levels in all religions. Was your family like really strict Mormon? Mine was.
Yeah, I guess I would say in some ways, I think like I, in a lot of ways, lucked out because I was second to youngest of 8 kids. So I think just by nature of getting down the line that things loosened up because of
Yeah.
that. Because
By
of,
that point, they were like,
right.
whatever.
They were like
They're
exhausted.
just like throwing crackers and being like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom is also the youngest of 8. And, we come from a big Mormon family. And she said the same thing. Like by that point, they were like,
Yeah. Like I
kind of
think
given up on her.
my older siblings had like all of the policing, like where my parents would like really look into it and like make sure they're like telling the truth and different things. Whereas by the time I got to my parents, like I'd come home high and stuff and they would like have no idea, and just be like, okay, like let's say prayers and good night.
Wow.
My gosh.
I kind of love that.
I smoked in a church once.
You did?
I
have too,
did.
actually. And it was at a funeral.
It was at
Is
a
that-
funeral.
Me too.
Really? Best time.
Wait, I think
Ah.
so. It was a funeral or a wedding. I don't remember because that's the
One
only
of
time.
the
I mean, same thing.
It's the only time I'll
Sorry.
go back into
Yeah.
a church. Is from one of those things.
I
But
actually was
yeah.
just back in a church for a Christmas Eve party. Like,
How is that?
it was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think like a funeral or like a wedding is way more like you're going to have all of those kind of Mormon elements of like having to say the prayers like at the funeral. I was like, this is so many prayers. Like, do we really say this many prayers after it was like for the food, for the opening prayer, for the viewing, I was just like, holy
It's like
cow.
just say one at the beginning that covers everything. Tara, how long have you been out?
I've been out 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then your husband's still in, right?
Yeah, I feel like he goes back and forth like every day. I don't know. Like, I feel like he's like the typical, if you grew up in Utah, there used to be like a lot of Jack Mormons, where it would be people who like don't really go to church all the time, but they still kind of like fully believe in Mormonism. So I feel like that's like where he's at now.
I used to be married to
Interesting.
one of those.
You did?
I did. Not anymore, though. Now I'm just married to a different guy who is not Mormon at all and is not religious and
Right.
is light years ahead of my past life.
So I'm curious because my he was baptized Lutheran and he doesn't like practice, but he believes in God. Does your husband listen to your podcast? Because mine does not.
Yeah, he does. He does
Yeah.
listen.
Mine does
Yeah.
not. He's like, I don't think I'd like it. And I'm like, come on, man. At least just listen for support.
No, he listens and we talk about the things that he disagrees on. But I don't know. There's like things where I'm just like, we're very similar, I guess, in our way of thinking. Yeah.
Sounds like he's open-minded enough, at least, if he's listening. And
Yeah. I mean, I think that if he were to have a conversation of like what he believes with regular Mormons, he would align more with ex-Mormons, but it's just the overarching, like, I don't know, like what it takes to actually leave.
right. And it's a whole culture, too, beyond the beliefs, when it's your whole community and that's all you've ever known. It's a lot.
And not to like ask about your finances, but do you still have to like tithe, right? But I mean, because Aaliyah has said that like you have to pay, like you're not in good standing if you don't tithe.
Yeah.
So
And he's not in good standing.
Oh,
Like he
okay.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, slay.
Yeah.
we love that.
We
No temple
love-
recommend over
We
here.
love not being in good standing with the church.
So
What a
technically it
little
could be-
rebel.
Now tell us about your sex life. Just kidding.
Right.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's really get into it. Yeah. But I don't know. I always feel regret because when we met, he was not active in Mormonism. And then we were both returned missionaries and I have to get married in the temple. Like that's the only goal I have in life is like to get married in the temple. And then we ended up like sleeping with each other before we got married. So we got sealed in the temple later anyway. And then I left. So kind of just a whole waste of time, energy, all of it.
Well, my thought with that is at least you got a secret name.
That's true. Yeah. But not really worth it.
May we ask, what is your secret name?
My secret name was Judith.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Judith, nice to meet you. I'm Phoebe.
yeah,
Good one.
Yeah, Judith.
Yeah, Phoebe's one of the better ones, I think.
I think so too. I actually looked up, I wanted to see what I thought like the worst names were on have you seen like the Temple Name Oracle website, Tara, where they have
I
like,
have seen them. And the girl ones just unfortunately, like Phoebe, I think is like the only good one, right? Is Eve one of them too, though?
I think Eve might be one of them, but I pulled up what I thought were the worst names. So for women, I think the worst name was Huldah, Huldah, and then Abish, Abish.
I kind of like that one.
Bish.
I think a bish.
Oh, okay,
think-
a bitch. I get it. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That one kind of eats.
Yeah, I could do a bish.
Yeah, okay. You know what? You're right. I take that back. That one's actually a better one.
Do they use ones from the Book of Mormon too?
Yes. So there was Amulek was one of them for the men.
That's a
Damn it.
wizard.
Yes,
That's
absolutely
that's
a wizard.
fucking wizard.
A lot of the man names are like wizard names because there was also Barnabas, which sounds like a wizard to me,
Yeah.
and
I
Nimrod.
didn't know until after, you know, when you leave and you kind of start looking into like other cults and how other cults would talk about like how you were somebody in the past life and they do kind of the same ceremony, not same ceremony, but like a ceremony to figure out who you were in this past life. And it would always be like Cleopatra or
Right.
like somebody famous and somebody like amazing all the time. I'm like, that's really similar. I wish I would
Yeah.
have gotten somebody really cool. I don't know, like Marilyn Monroe or
I
they would
wish.
never have that though.
Well, I mean,
She's
maybe
a harlot.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone has like done the baptisms and done like all the temple work for her, so that would like make her eligible, probably, right? Like that's what I would think.
That's true.
The baptisms for the dead is just mind-boggling to me.
It's really silly.
It really is.
Like, if they're going to do it for me when I'm dead, what is the point of going through all this extra work? Like, I'm just going to sin and then they're going to baptize me when I'm dead. Well, I'm already baptized. If I got baptized when I was a kid and then I start sinning again, do they have to re-baptize me when I'm dead? Or I'm
Only
good
if you're
for
like
life?
excommunicated, I think, right?
Yeah, like I'm a heathen now.
No one's gonna have to rebaptize you when you're
Yeah.
dead.
They just would think that like you accept it right after you're dead you see like the error in your ways and repent and accept Jesus Christ once you meet him, right?
Not going to happen.
But I don't know if you would go to the I don't know if you go to the celestial kingdom though.
Well, someone would have to do all of the other ordinances for you. Like someone would have to do a sealing for you and your husband. No, they didn't get. So Noe left the church like way, way, way. Like
I was a Mormon child, and that's about it. And all of my extended family is Mormon, but I never did the adult thing. So I've never had the temple experience.
See, so you're lucky though, because you're not permanently tied to a man. Or I guess now you're unlucky because you're not.
No, it's fine. I mean, I have a good one, and I'm still like, I don't know about all that.
I don't know about
Yeah, you don't
eternity.
know.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I don't That's really like my husband and I talk about that all the time. Like, wait a second. Like, why is this like a goal or like the dream? Because I think family is like the people who you are least likely to get along with and that you're kind of stuck with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about that on our episode with Iman. She was talking about how like it's not equal, like how like you sin for 65 years or however long, and then you have an eternity of punishment. Like, how about you just give me like the same amount of time I was on earth instead of like a fucking eternity for something.
Right.
You know,
And
it's
she
just,
was saying in Islam, once you go in the grave, you stay there until like their version of the rapture, right? So you're basically awake in your coffin being tortured, waiting to be tortured in hell until Judgment
That
Day.
is
Until
just
Judgment Day, yeah.
awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually live in a Muslim country right now. And well, right now I'm in Utah, but like I live in Kyrgyzstan full time. And I think that the biggest thing that shocked me by it, one, was just how like little I knew of actual Islam, like of like their actual religion. And then two was how almost like propagandized it is of like to be like bad compared to Christianity when they are like actually very similar.
right.
I say that Islam and Mormonism, it's like, what did I say? What did I say? Something?
Mayonnaise.
Yes, it's mayonnaise.
Mayo
Mormonism.
Islam.
Yeah, mayo is. Mormonism is
That's
just
what we've
mayo
been
Islam.
calling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We found so many similarities in that interview. I was like, wait, your childhood sounds almost like mine. I mean, hers a little more extreme, but I was like, this is very similar. We're just the mayonnaise version.
Do you think it's the mayonnaise version or it just hasn't, like, it's just not gone through a lot of the cycles of Islam has? Like, because Islam has been around
Right.
so
Yeah, it's like
long.
baby. It's baby Islam.
It
Yeah,
is.
like especially learning about Hinduism and Buddhism because I'm like in Central Asia. So like, you know, all of these world religions that have like been around way predating like Christ, Adam and Eve, all of that stuff. Like some of it is almost like Mormonism just feels like, or any other religion just feels like a regurgitated version of this.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
for sure. I guess
Yeah.
I say mayo because of the whiteness of it. Just like
Yeah.
like the unseasoned version.
They're the brown version of
They're spiced. We're
that's so funny.
you know, I'm just reflecting on my family, and it's Mayo Islam for
No,
sure.
I agree. As somebody who is not Mayo but was adopted into a Mayo family, that
I'm
yeah,
so
it is
sorry. Sorry, that was rude. Can you tell us more about your childhood and what that was like growing up in a Mayo family?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here in Utah my
Wow.
whole life, but I was adopted as a baby. So I feel like Utah is like all I've ever really known. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like a forever type of processing thing. I think like there's a lot of us here, specifically in Utah, who are Black people who were raised in Mormonism because of adoption and LDS social services. Like they had a full adoption agency that is now no longer a thing. So it's like a weird place to be in because we were kind of like, you know, preached about our adoptions being this like beautiful, wonderful thing and like our family saved us. And then it's like
Right.
you get to adulthood and that's kind of when you start to deal with the reality of like what your adoption story actually was by meeting your biological family and then just coming to terms with it all. It's a very interesting thing. And even like since I've been in Utah, I've had so many weird experiences since being in here in Utah, which doesn't normally happen to me. Like I feel like I usually come to Utah and it's fine. It's a great time. But this has like been my first experience of getting multiple messages from like family members or people that I know or random people just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like kind of preaching to you,
Ew.
how you
Shocking.
should be. So yeah, I had a message from an uncle that I literally was just talking with my brother about it, who's also adopted. So my parents had 4 biological kids and adopted 4 kids. And so this is my older brother who was like the first one to kind of leave Mormonism, and like probably my parents would probably say like their hardest child, and he just has a lot of, I think, unprocessed trauma and things, and he was the only Asian one in our family. He's Korean. And like if you think there's not a lot of black people in Utah, like Asians are even less than that. And
It's
so
gotta be tough growing up not seeing people like you.
Like not having
yes.
any representation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And his adoption was around a time where now, like, I think places like South Korea and China don't do international adoptions, but at the time, they had they weren't documenting any of this. Like, it literally is like human trafficking. So, like, even to find his family would be just like crazy. And I don't know.
Horrible. There's such a dark history with that stuff. I'm a foster care advocate, and like every time we're in court, we have to say, is this child part of an Indian tribe? Because they used to just take their babies and have them just adopted. And so every court hearing now we have to like look into it. Do they have any native heritage? Because it was so bad. They were stealing all of the native babies and just giving them, yeah, human trafficking. It's, yeah, pretty horrific.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like, my family is white, my like adopted family, but I think just also like you think because I will say that I'm a very privileged person, right? And I think sometimes we think because I feel like this was like all growing up, I was kind of learning that like I had proximity almost to privilege, but like it would only go so far.
Because it's like
So
you're
yeah.
still like you may be in this white family and growing up in this white area, but you're still a black person. Is that kind of
Yeah, exactly that. And like I always am having to like kind of pull the card of like, do you know who my parents are? Or like, like I'm not like how you view like everyone's stereotyping black people here, right? And so it's like I am not this monolith or this stereotype, and like most black people are not, And I think just the text message, I keep going back and forth because my brother's like, "Oh, you shouldn't like read into it. Like we're not even close with this person, and like we don't even really like this person." But like I just was
but
like, I think what
still.
bugs me is when somebody tries to tell you about your life. And I think regardless of how privileged you are, like everybody has a story and hard things that they go through in life. And so it was just a weird interaction. It was very weird. I was just like, this is, I don't know, so Mormon. I don't know.
Right. It's like,
So
oh,
Mormon.
that's so Mormon. That's so Raven.
Yeah, and
That's
to
what I was
send
thinking.
unsolicited texts, like who gives unsolicited like advice? Like I don't know if it's just a generational thing, like a boomer thing to
It's
like
everybody.
It's everybody. Do you think it's because of the political climate, or did he listen to your podcast or something like that?
well, it's definitely from my podcast. I just don't know where he got the idea to like tell me about myself. I don't know,
Right.
like almost like little girling you, like
You're all cool story, bro. Thanks.
almost
I'm a
like
grown ass woman.
yeah, he's my parent, like, telling me something, which is weird. This is such a crazy interaction and a weird thing to do to someone, and, like, over and over throughout the text, like, "You've had a good life," like, "My sister Cheryl is amazing," blah, 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 and I'm like, "I never have said that my mom is not amazing." But I think as a parent now, I show up how I wish my parents would have showed up for me, And
Right.
one of those things is, like, I am not infallible, and I'm okay with my kids being disappointed in me, and I don't see that as a reflection of me being a good or bad person, right? And so I don't think it's offensive to talk about the things that your parents maybe have done wrong and the things that they've done right, Because it doesn't mean that I don't love them or I hate them or like anything's wrong.
If only that generation could just admit You know what I mean? It's like
Yes, that's what it is.
majority of us just want you to acknowledge that like that happened. But I swear it's like when you bring it up to them, they're like, me?
Yeah,
And
they
it's just like,
so defensive.
that's the whole problem. Like, just admit it happened. Like, you're sorry. And then we can move on. I don't know why they are like incapable.
Right,
I
they have to double
apologize to
down.
my kids every day. Like, it's not hard. I don't
It's not a big
remember.
deal.
It's not a big deal.
Like,
And the
I
thing with
apologize to my toddler.
right, and she can barely understand what that means.
She doesn't, but like, it's a good practice, right? Like, if I do something wrong, just say like, oh, you know what? I'm learning too. Or like, oh,
Yeah.
that was my fault. It's really,
Yeah.
it's not that hard.
And I think as like adults that we are talking about it is because we want to have a dialogue about it, not because we're like still stuck in that place or whatever. It's just like the dialogue is what dives into like a deeper connection with that person. And it's like, I personally feel like my relationship with my parents and like that deep connection really ended when I left home at 18. You know, like after that, it's like, it's kind of over and we're just like more surface level.
And I think with adoption too, because like my stepdad is adopted, but his adoptive parents who were lovely, but they kind of like held this, like, we saved you from, you know, whatever. And like, there was always that air of like, you're here because of us. Like, we chose you, you know, we brought you into our house and like, you should be thanking them every day that, you know, you were adopted. I don't know if that is your situation, but
That's
I feel like
exactly
there is.
how this uncle came off. Again, I feel like now I have to preface everything I say of like, I love my parents, but I do feel like that generation was very much raised with a white saviorism complex, you know, like they're literally amazing people, but like to really talk and like discuss race is just a really hard thing. You know, it was kind of like race doesn't matter. We love everyone. And like to some degree, yes, but like being Black and being, I don't know, like that's part of like who I am, right? Like,
I mean, if they're not acknowledging that, it's like your whole existence.
Yeah. Like, when people say that they don't see color, it's like, then you're not seeing me
You're
as a
not
full
seeing you.
person. Like, you're not
Yes.
seeing all parts of me. And there are some things that are just inherently different about me being a Black woman than from anybody else, you know? And
Exactly.
so to not be seen fully as a person also, at least to me, feels a little bit like you're not able to love me for who I am completely if you're ignoring such a big part of me.
Yeah. And that's what it felt like. I think just like LDS social services in general, that was like kind of the goal. You know, this belief that babies come like a blank slate, which is not true at all. And it was kind of used as like a missionary tool. You know, you adopt these kids, have a closed adoption, raise them how you want to raise them. And then once they're old enough, they'll go find their family and they'll be the conversion tool to like convert their family. And like Mormonism saves everyone, everyone wins, yay. When in reality, it's like you don't come in blank slate. And like you feel that. Like none of my adopted siblings are Mormon anymore. And I think that's just a conversation that I don't think we'll ever have with our parents as well about that, you know, of like, why is that? Like, why do you think like none of us are Mormon if we were raised this way?
You're like, plan failed.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
Actually, because now you have a podcast talking about,
that's
you know,
true. It's like,
Right. And do they all know about your podcast? How do you manage that? Do you talk about it or you just kind of
I don't
ignore
really talk
it?
about it with them at all. I mean, since I've gotten a couple messages since I've been here, I did go through and block people because before I didn't have like any of my family blocked, right? I was like, I'm just going to let them see. But now I'm just like, I don't want to have to be cautious about everything that I post. And like, and we're all just kind of learning. I don't know. Like, I feel like if the church apologists can post freely everything that they say, then like, why can't I with a different opinion?
Yeah, that's something that really bothers me, that Christianity is just the default. And it's like, even if we don't believe, we're still expected to like hold it up as this like high honor and that we're not allowed to critique it at all. And it's just like, you guys say whatever the fuck you want all the
Right.
time.
All the time.
All the time. They never shut up.
Horrendous stuff too. And then like trying to twist it like it's backed by psychology. Like there is some stuff that I have seen that I'm just like, this is horrendous. And I really try, just in general, never to critique just Mormon content in general, unless it's like general conference, like not creators of it, because it really is, I think a lot of times ex-Mormons are referring to the belief system, not the people,
Yeah, my problem is with the church itself. My problem is with
Yeah,
the
the business.
corporation of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like, that's where I hold issue. It's not with individual people. It's not with
Well,
bishops
mine
that I've
is.
had. That's fine.
Y-
That's
You
fine.
know who you are.
Valid if it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Clock it.
Piece of shit. Yep. Yeah, the money part is just, I can't. Like, if I find out something's Mormon, I'm like, just can't put my money into it, because I know that they're tithing to this church that is just terrible to women. I've never had a crumble cookie. I can't do it. Like,
Well, that's a gay man.
He's Mormon though? Is he gone from the Mormon church, or is he still?
I don't know, but I mean,
I think he's still in.
he's
But
still
he
in.
came out, right? As
He's
Yeah.
in, but he's out.
He was kind of forced out,
He's
which
in and
kind
out.
of
I don't know if
shitty,
he was.
but also like,
I personally don't feel like he was. I feel like speculation and talk on the internet does not equal outing someone.
yeah, I mean, and it was pretty fucking obvious.
Yeah, is the sky blue?
He also spelled crumble like how they spell grinder. So it's
Grinder.
like, come on.
Which
He's
I
like in his
love.
pink
Yeah.
polo shirt. He's like, come buy my cookies. Meet my wife. Like,
He is so good looking, especially when I saw, like, I don't know, just the way he dresses, the pictures that he posts, his house. I was just like, there's no way that, like,
That's not a straight man.
you look too clean to be straight.
Right.
Like,
Like, you spend a little bit too much time cleaning your booty hole.
you do
Right.
skincare.
Yeah. Right?
not that there's anything wrong with cleaning.
No,
your
you
booty
should
hole.
clean
I
your
mean,
booty hole, but
no,
keep
we-
it.
I
You know what I
love a
mean?
good enema. I love a good enema.
Yes, for sure.
Do you do the coffee enema?
I have before, but like
Really?
Christina was saying with coffee, I'm not a huge coffee drinker because of my body just doesn't sit well. It makes me really inflamed. The opposite of like what everyone else I feel like gets out of it.
So Joseph Smith was right about that one.
for
should
me, yeah.
avoid.
For you.
You're
For
like,
me.
in the homeschool world, the good and the beautiful homeschool curriculum, even secular people are like, oh, we use it. We just cut out the religious stuff. Oh, we use it because and I'm like, the person is Mormon who wrote it. So all the money is going, like, I just picture 10% or more going to the church, because all these people in the homeschool community are like, even secular people are like, whatever, it's a good curriculum. I just take out all the religious bits. And I'm like, you realize where your money's going? Like, fuck, I just can't.
I just find it interesting. Like, how do you just cut out the religious parts and think nothing else is biased? Like the history, the science.
Right. I know.
I
I don't
don't-
know. It's
I don't
crazy.
know. And I also like, is there any way to ever show up like unbiased? Like, even when people are upset and like, oh, this is disrespectful to Mormons, or this is just, it's like, of course, like, I'm on the other side of it. Religion it's a subjective thing, right? And like, so much I feel like of our experience is like, subjective. I don't know how to show up unbiased. I'll be honest. Maybe that's just why I'm saying that, is because I'm like, I feel like
you're
every
a human.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like,
Lived
that's normal.
experiences.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think like sometimes they try and frame it. Like growing up in Mormonism, it was framed as if it is unbiased, as if it is objective, rather than what it really is. And then you're just like, wait, like this,
Well, yeah, because
there's
they
no way
stake
for
their
this to be
they stake their
objective.
claim that the Book of Mormon is the most true book and that this is the most true religion. I feel like people who are still in the church are coming from this framework of like, everything that they know and believe and feel is up here, and everything else that everyone else knows and believes and feels is lower tier.
Right.
Yes.
And there's
And don't you feel like the conversation sometimes, like, I feel like we're in different realities. So the conversation
Yeah.
can never like
Can never exist
meet
on the
in the
same
middle?
plane. Yeah.
Yeah, because I literally like sometimes I usually don't engage like on social media with like believers and stuff, because I just am like, we're just in such different worlds that there's never going to be a meeting, And I used to think that like, okay, like at least if we start like both saying that like this is our subjective experience, that we can start somewhere. No, that was my first wrong move.
They're never going to see it because they're always going to see anything that you say as wrong, and like anything that you believe is from the devil, and that you're not approaching it from a place of truth. And like a lot of people who are still in the church, if they're having conversations with people who have left the church, they have an ulterior motive. It's not just to have a conversation, right? It's to bring you back. It's always to bring you back.
I feel like it's hard for me because I have so many people that I'm still very close friends with that I literally have seen while here in Utah, that I just like, it almost makes me a little bit more frustrated because I'm just like, wait, like, so you do understand what I'm saying, where I'm coming from, but
You're not going to change.
Yeah, but then you don't change. Yeah.
I think there's layers to it, right? Like, one, you don't want to admit that you're wrong or that you've been wrong your whole life. That's a big part of it. And then two, like the cost of leaving for a lot of people is really expensive, right? Like, especially if like you've been Mormon your whole life and you're like in your 40s or like in your 50s, and like if you are a business person and like all of your business connects are also Mormon, which is a pretty common thing, right? Or
Right.
like your kids are wrapped up in it, all your friends are like, part of the church and stuff. So like that exit cost is just really pricey.
Right.
I don't even know if my family knows my beliefs. I don't think they've heard my podcast. I don't really bring it up with them. I mean,
They're still
obviously,
Mormon?
obviously just looking
Your
at
mom's
me,
not
they know
Mormon
I'm not
anymore.
My mom is not Mormon, but like my grandma, aunts, uncles, cousins, all of them folks. But yeah, I just don't even bring it up with them. And like you said, it's like a different reality.
There's a lot of benefits to religion. Like we talked about it when we had Britt on. There's a reason why, like as humans, we have co-evolved with religion, that there's a lot of benefits to it. There's, like we mentioned, and everybody mentioned this when they're on the podcast, one of the biggest things that people miss when they leave the church is that community aspect. So to leave the church is also turning your back on that community that you've built or people that you've known your whole entire life. I think Britt mentioned it when she was on the podcast, was that like it like rewires your brain to not have to think too hard about certain things, right? Like you're automatically adopting this belief system, and it provides safety because everyone that you're surrounding yourself with also believes in this system. So I get it. Like I understand why people stay. It's like people who stay in like abusive relationships, like they may not want to be there, but like sometimes it's easier for them to stay, right?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Like, there's some days I hope one day my mind will get to that place.
Yeah.
Of like not constantly, because I still feel like I think like a Mormon still, really, like about a lot of things until I'm confronted with like an opposing idea, I'm like, oh, I never realized that like I still really thought this way about this specific thing. I don't know.
See, and I'm going the opposite way because I want to like learn more. So I bought a Bible and I'm going to take world religion classes and like intro to religion, because I'm like, I want to be able to pull the scripture and all that kind of stuff when we're talking to people who really know their shit, or, when Aaliyah's talking, I'm just like, I want to pull that from my brain. And I know that a lot of that comes with trauma, and it's a privilege that I'm just like, oh, I want to just read the Bible for fun. And when people were like drilled into them their whole life, but I do want to be able to not just be like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's just all weird. I want to have something.
It's such a good contrast, though.
It is. No, I was going to say, like, I'm 10 years out of religion, and like I still have moments, especially since we started the podcast, and it's like, wow, like I was indoctrinated for so long that it has taken this much time of being out to realize this thing. And like that happens all the time still, where like it was just recently, like last month, where I was like, oh, right, like I don't have the voice of God in my head anymore. It's just me in there,
When I was editing that episode, I saw your brain. Like I saw your brain.
The light bulb
The
moment.
light bulb.
Yeah.
Like literally, it was like if it was a cartoon, the light bulb, like your face was just like you just were
God's
like,
not in there.
what?
God's not in there. And I mean, I haven't heard him for years, but like,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it until recently.
And then like having him judge every thought that you have, and like,
Yeah. Or like every thought went through like this God filter that like he was watching everything that I did for so long, but like he never was. But like that's how I thought for so long, that it's taken, this much time to realize that like I'm way beyond that point. I just never had that realization.
Right. And Tara, did you have points when you were a kid where you're like, this is fucking weird? Or were you always like in it?
I think I've always had a lot of moments where I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Because so much of me and the things that I like are so opposite of kind of Mormon culture, just in general. I think the biggest thing too is like they're constantly talking about genealogy. And like as someone who's adopted, it's like a constant pain point
Yeah.
and realization of like, I don't know, like I'd always separate myself from my family that I was raised in during those times because it's like, oh, but we're not the same, or this isn't my family. I don't know. And it still is a weird point that I'm still at. Like I feel like it's just generally harder for me to feel familial ties. I don't know, especially after
Yeah.
having my first son. They say that like when your kids are at the age that you experienced your trauma
Mhm.
is like when yours will come out. And that was exactly what it was for me having my first son, is like immediately when he was born, just like a wave of realization and just like grief and sorrow, and just like the realization that I felt also kind of disconnected to him. And I know that was probably like a trauma response to like not feel so strongly. Like it almost felt like it took weeks or so to really feel like he was my kid. And I know that happens to a lot of moms, right? Just in
Yeah.
general, like it's a surreal thing, but I feel like it really was just like somebody could have came and taken him and been like, you're never going to see him again. I don't think I would have had any emotional response at the time. Yeah.
It's already such a hard, difficult, weird time,
Yeah.
even in the best of circumstances. And then when you have a kid, like you said, it's kind of like a mirror for your trauma, because you think of it as like, oh, like I would never do this to this baby, or like it makes you realize, wow, I really just was a little kid. Like you see it in a completely different light with all different kinds of trauma. So I relate to
Yeah.
that, even though I have a totally different story. When I look at my kids, I'm just like, what do you mean that happened to me at that age? Like it makes you view it in a completely different, new, fucked up way that you have to process.
And in a weird way, me and my husband having our kid was like, we almost like mirrored the same type of life that like my biological parents were going through. Like when me and my husband first had our son, like we were on food stamps, we were on government assistance, we were living in his mom's basement. You know, we just had kids too young. It's like crazy that like my parents wanted a different life for me that really ended up being just like kind of repeating this cycle a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. My mom had me young, and she was like, don't have a baby young. And then I got pregnant at 18. So,
See, and now when I see like conservatives like complaining about people aren't having kids or people leaving religion, I view it as a privilege. Like, I think it's like awesome that we live in this day and age where like you don't have to conform to these ways of life and you don't have to have kids. The people actively choosing not to have kids would probably be like the best parents ever,
Right.
actually.
Honestly.
Versus the ones, those of us who like, I don't know, when I had my kids, I was just like, I am helping the army of God. Like I am adding numbers to it. And I should have had kids, been more meaningful about it,
Right. How is parenting with being out of the church and your husband not completely being out of the church? Like, is it just a lot of, communication, or like, do they go to church? Your
Yeah,
kids?
since we've been in Utah, they've gone to church with my mother-in-law, but usually like we live in Kyrgyzstan, like there's not a Mormon church in Kyrgyzstan.
Thank God.
Love that for you.
Yes.
There is Mormons though, surprisingly. Like that is actually
They're
a big surprise.
everywhere.
They're
Yeah.
spreading.
So my husband like went a couple times to somebody's house while we were in Kyrgyzstan. I don't think anyone has done like a sacrament meeting and stuff since, but like, I don't know. Our kids are not raised super Mormon, but like my oldest son, like he loves Jesus and like loves God, and he's just very, very into that. And I don't know. I just take the approach of what I didn't like growing up was having my spirituality and sexuality dictated for me. And so I don't want to dictate that to my kids. And so since my son like loves Jesus and stuff like and loves God, like I want to be able to show him all the different ways that people kind of do that rather than thinking that he has to conform to this like one idea of what that looks like. And I have a lot of great friends, like some of my best friends before we lived in Kyrgyzstan, we lived in DC, like I have this really close friend who is very much believes in God. And I just love her version of it. Like she doesn't conform to any one religion, you know, like that's just how she believes. She's like very spiritual. And I just like, I think there's a lot of beauty in that. And I think there's a lot of beauty in doing things the way that you want to do things and not having to subscribe to like being homophobic or
Right.
being
Yep.
like racist or any of those things, you know? And so I think that's just like each person's
Right.
individual
Which
journey.
is fine if it was like that. Unfortunately, you know, when it's the government trying to do all these things because
It's
of
like that's what I hope for him is like,
right.
if he gets to that place,
Just
That's the
have
way to go.
your own little church in here and your relationship with God or your higher power or whatever. And then
I mean, it
just
makes the most sense.
cultivate that.
If there is a God, it's definitely not any of these stories that anyone has made up. So like if I did believe in a God, I don't think I would subscribe to any religion.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
how
know.
could they have gotten it right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love people who are willing to like deconstruct. I don't care if they still believe in a God, just like throw away the homophobia, throw away
Yeah.
that shit, and like then we're
The
good.
misogyny and
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 4 kids and 2 of them are adults.
Damn.
And I've
4
just
kids.
always
That's crazy.
yeah, my oldest is 24 and then I have a 19-year-old and then with my second marriage I have an 11 and an 8-year-old. And I've just always been open and honest with them about my feelings and the family's feelings, and we talk about religion like every myth, you know, just Greek mythology, and this is what people believe, and this is, you know, some people base their whole lives around it, and some people loosely believe these things. And, you know, when you're old enough to kind of make your own decisions, that's fine. We'll talk about it, you know. And my 2 oldest are atheists because they've just kind of always had questions. And I'd be like, well, look at it from this point of view. Or, you know, why would somebody who could change these horrible things, why wouldn't they? You know, like, wouldn't you? And, you know, we just kind of have those talks. And then my little ones are, I'm sure they'll go that way too, but they, you know, ask questions and I'm just like honest with them about the way I feel. And this is why I feel this way. And you can make your own decision when you're older.
I feel like from leaving Mormonism and kind of having, I don't know, a loose blueprint of kind of, we are all raised so similarly. So like it must be in the way, like I feel like a lot of my rules were similar to like my neighbor friends' rules of like how you're raised, you know. I feel like how did you figure out kind of your blueprint of parenting? Since you were never religious, right? So like how did you teach things like is it wrong just because you say it's wrong?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good question because I was a very young parent too. I was 19 when I got pregnant. And I don't know, I just kind of always felt like I knew what was right and wrong. And so I just kind of passed that, you know, because like, okay, sex before marriage has always been like a huge part of like why I've never wanted to be religious. I've just always thought that was just such a weird rule. Like I've never attached morality to sex because it's just like such a natural thing. And like,
it's kind of blowing my mind right now.
I was right. Like there was no purity culture. There was no nothing. When my body wanted to experience things, like I let that happen. And when I was curious, you know, I made out with my friends, boys and girls.
And you felt no shame about it?
No. And when I would get in trouble, I never understood like what I was getting in trouble about. Was it because I guess my parents were just always like, that's a grown up thing. So when you're older, you can do that. It wasn't like God doesn't want you to do this before there was never like, you have to wait till you're married. I think my mom, and I kind of had this rule with my kids too. Like, I would really like you to wait until you're like 16 to have sex or, you know, like something like we're just kind of like, be careful. my mom gave me condoms and, put me on birth control when I asked to go on birth control. Yeah. And I came to her when I started having sex. I came to her and
How
I said,
old were you?
I was 14.
Okay, so that's kind
And
of
she
young.
was
and you
not
felt
she was not
comfortable.
super happy. That's when she was kind of like, I really wish like you would wait until like you're a
But
little
the
older.
fact that you were comfortable to go to her is like blowing my mind. Like, I'm married. I've had 2 children. I would not even allude or say like a joke about alluding to having sex with my husband that I've been
Right.
married to for a decade.
I don't even like kissing Eric in front of
Really?
my mom. No, I don't. It's weird.
I'm the same way.
Crazy to me at 14, you felt comfortable to go to your mom and let her know too that like you
Yes,
were having.
because I felt like I liked it and I knew that I wanted to do it more and I wanted to go to her. She was always kind of like, if you ever need to get on birth control, let me know. And so I told her that I wanted to get on birth control. Yes.
Did
And
she
like
shame you at all? Like, was she like, you're too young to be doing this? Or was
she
she
did.
just
She
like,
was like, yeah. And that's where it was like, I would really, it just kind of the responsibility of a baby sort of thing was like, do you really think, that's what happens when you have sex? Like,
yeah.
so if you think that you're responsible enough to have a kid, and she will joke now to this day, like she's so glad that I finally had a kid, that I was 19. Well, I was 20 when I delivered, but I was 19 when I got pregnant. She's like, because she goes, I thought you were going to be a mom at 15, at 16, because you were just like wanted to be a mom and you were so sexually active and so open. Like I've always been open with sexuality. Like I remember one time, I think I was 17 maybe, and I was taking stuff out of my makeup bag and like I pulled a vibrator out and just like set it down and she was like, and I was like, what?
I have to say, it's a
Christina,
really
Christina.
interesting like dichotomy that you're a never nude, but you're such a slut.
I know, I am such a slut.
With
I
love,
really am.
with love.
Were you like
But,
a
like-
fully clothed slut? Like, were you having
You're like,
sex
everyone,
fully
come
clothed?
on, just shut your eyes, get in line.
let me keep the jean shorts on.
Did you just like pull the
dresses.
pull
Yeah,
the
dresses.
sweatpants off to the
Oh,
side?
there you go.
Dresses and
How flexible
skirt.
are jean shorts?
Right. I don't think I've ever owned a pair of jean shorts.
Because the shorts, you show too much skin.
I don't show my legs. I haven't shown my legs to anybody in like a million years.
Do you
I've
just
never
like
seen
wear
Christina's legs.
pants and rip open the crotch, or how does that work?
Yeah.
Crotchless ponies. Yeah.
Crotchless
like
pants.
dresses and
because-
skirts and no
Okay.
underwear.
Got it. You
Freak.
just like
Oh my gosh.
climb on top and like just set your skirt down.
Your
Yes,
petticoat.
like a princess. Yes.
Beautiful.
But yeah, and so I kind of did that with my kids too. Like I said, I told my
you
oldest,
set your
like when
petticoat
you're
down
ready.
on top of your kids?
No, birth control. Sorry, I was
Okay.
going back to the birth control.
Sorry.
I, was like, I'd really like you to wait as long as possible. At least 16 would be great. But I guess and I guess 16 is such an arbitrary number because you like get your car and like you have that freedom and they're going to fuck. So it's like, just
No,
do
you
it in
don't.
your car.
You don't know
No.
that? There was no
For the
I was
most part,
16. I was
people-
doing no fucking. There was no fucking.
Oh, I wanted to. Oh, yeah, for sure wanted to.
And also, my family owned liquor stores and I worked in a liquor store. So I stocked like porn. Like that was part of my job. Like I had to put porn away and I was like a baby
You were
child.
just doomed from the beginning.
So
I
what were
like-
your ideas around like porn and masturbation? Were your parents okay with you watching porn? Were they okay? Like what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if I don't know if we ever really like talked about that, but I guess they just assumed that I did. I don't know. I just assume my kids do. So I
Yeah.
just, I'm like, just do it in the bathroom or where it's not gross. Like my boys share a room. So we talk about like, this is a private thing. It can never be when your brother's in the room. Like it has to, keep it to the shower.
And they like, are your
Yeah.
kids fine having like these conversations with you? Or are they kind of like,
Well, they get weirded out.
Yeah.
But I figure even if they're running away and embarrassed, like it's getting in there.
Yeah.
Or they're like, oh, mom, I don't want to talk about this or whatever.
Have they ever come to you with like situations like that they've, I don't know, find themselves?
No. I mean, I guess probably they don't tell me like this is from that, but like, my son will come to me and say like, I think I have like a, like like jock it or, something
Yeah.
like in those areas. And sometimes I'm like, I'm sure it's probably because he's not being as hygienic as he needs to be. So I'm like, you got to make sure you're washing your hands and doing all that stuff. But yeah, we were just always really, really open about it. Even my dad used to take me I did like Depo-Provera shots when I was like 16 or 17.
Dad took you?
And my dad would take me my stepmom would be like, oh, Christina needs her shot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so they would take me. But
I remember literally having to get like tampons and like having to like get the courage to like ask my brother. Like I felt more comfortable asking my brother than like my dad or my mom to like drive me to the store to like get tampons.
I didn't have any guilt around it. And like I said, I had a friend who went to confession for every little fucking thing that she did. And I was just always like, why? I don't want that. I don't want, like, this feels good to me. I'm not hurting anybody. Like, why do you feel so much guilt around that? Like, it's great. She was always just so upset. And it's like, okay, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
If, you're that guilty, like, but I didn't want to stop doing it. And so, sorry, the beginning to this conversation was religion around sex was always so like, I don't want to be part of that. Like, I want to sleep with people before I'm married. I want to try them out and know if I like them, sort of thing. And plus I was bi. So like I was with chicks too. And that was a no in the whole religious. So I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I want to fuck guys. I want to fuck girls. I want to do whatever I want to do. And I don't want to feel guilty about it.
So
And
here we are.
she
Listen,
did.
And she
And
did.
she did.
And 4 kids
Did
later.
you ever get like in trouble a lot as like a kid, or like your kids get in trouble, like, or is it just different because like the things that other people view as bad you don't view as like a reason to, I don't know, to
No,
be
I mean,
mad at
because
your
I
kid?
am the black sheep of my family. So, I mean, there is, they did have that kind of like realization of like, oh God, she's tattooed and she had kids young and,
Yeah.
she, I'm very open with, I was an open atheist. I was an open bisexual. I had a shrine to Drew Barrymore on my wall and my parents were like, what's going on here? And I'm like, I love her. Like I had her Playboy and I was like, I want to marry her. They were like, oh, here we go. But they just were kind of like, okay, whatever. This is how she is.
It's
That's
just
true.
so wild to me, Christina, because like I know some of this about you, but like hearing all of this and like all of the details, I don't even want my mom to listen to this episode now. So Julia, just don't. Like this one's not for
Turn
you.
it off now,
Just,
Julia.
if you've gotten this far, just
Really?
stop. Like
Yeah.
erase your ears. I like to think that I always existed. I don't like to think
You
of
were,
my
like,
parents having sex.
immaculately
Yes.
concepted.
Yes, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about my parents having sex. Like that never happened. I just have always existed. And my mom lives in our house now. And so like me and my husband trying to be adults and like, it's just
Have
like,
sex. You're like,
yes.
Yeah.
Like just like knowing that my mom's like 2 rooms over. I'm just like,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
tough.
my
like-
19-year-old is right next door, and I'm sure he can hear everything that I'm saying
Yeah.
because these walls are
Well,
so thin.
my mother-in-law, when my husband and I were just dating, like came downstairs one time like the morning after, and I was like naked in my husband's bed. And the fact that I'm at her house right now is crazy because I literally was like, I'll never be there again. Like we are
Right.
over. Like I can never see you again. Like this is awful. And like I could hear them upstairs in her room having an argument about it. Like, I can't believe you guys are sleeping together. Like I've never not had like everyone and their
Shame.
dog involved in your purity and like
Yeah, no,
virginity,
I
like
can't.
constantly checking for that,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. I
Right.
get so worried, like, because I have 2 boys, and I get really worried about them getting someone pregnant, right? Because I feel like we've always been taught, like it's all, if a girl gets pregnant, like it all is on them, I don't like the idea of how easily they can just like be bad partners, or I don't know. I
Right.
guess we're like the generation of Teen Mom, and that was like a horror show.
Yeah. I applied to be on Teen Mom. I don't know if I ever
Did
told you
you?
guys that.
no.
I think I was a little too old because I was 18. They're like,
Oh,
oh, you're old. We need someone a little
You're an
younger.
adult. We need
It's not as
children.
interesting. Yeah.
We need pregnant
Well,
children
that's crazy
here.
because like I applied and I was 34 and they definitely said that I was way too old. Just kidding. I never
Okay.
applied. But like I like to think
So-
that I'm a teen mom.
You
Like, yeah,
are.
you are. You look
I
like
was
one.
Thank you, I'll take it. But, like, I was 34 when I had my daughter, so, like, I have a different experience than, like, Noe and Christina and even you, Tara.
Why didn't you have kids so young, Aaliyah? Like, why did you? Yeah.
Why did I not have a kid till I was 34 or
Yeah.
whatever? So, okay, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so there was no sex then. I converted to Mormonism when I was like 19 or 20, and I was in the church until I was 25. And in that time period, I got married to someone, and I could not, for the life of me, imagine having kids with that person. So, like,
That's
even
crazy that you didn't, though. Like, the fact that you couldn't imagine and didn't is
Well, okay,
great.
so about me is I went through the temple a week before we got married, and that's where I had my faith crisis. Was like the week before we got married, and I was in the temple and I had a full-blown like panic attack because I was like, I'm in a cult and this is all bullshit and this is fake and I don't believe in this and I'm so like freaked out. We still got married a week later in the temple, and I went through with it, and like the whole time I'm like, this is wrong. Like I regret going through with it because I remember thinking like I had shaped my whole like personality and this relationship around Mormonism being true and like that being the version of my life. And now I know that I don't believe in it. And so I think the subsequent years that I was still married to that person was me trying to figure out who I was and like navigating my way out of that relationship because I didn't know who I was without religion and without church.
Yeah. But that's a little bit wild because Pentecostal, I mean, I went on my mission to Atlanta, Georgia, and in one of the areas that we were in, like this Pentecostal church was huge. And it was like a little crazy to me. Like they would like,
Yeah.
there was one time that the pastor like brought out snakes that they had milked.
Christina, we've been waiting.
Obsessed. We have been waiting for somebody to just tell me that there's snakes. There really are like snake
Every
churches.
time we talk to a Pentecostal person, she's like, was there
They're
snakes?
like,
Every time, no.
snakes.
Yeah,
Never.
this one had snakes. Yeah, they actually did the full like
I need to go. I need to
if
go
you're
there.
like a true believer, you won't get bit, you know, or you would get bit, but you wouldn't like
You wouldn't die.
die. Yeah, but
one
it's
of
because
my
they had milk.
one of my guilty pleasures is stories about people who got bit and like actually died. And I know that's like really dark, but I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like
Yeah.
what?
And that like that experience like really scared me. But like honestly, Pentecostal is
Wild,
similar
crazy,
to Mormon.
nut.
Like just the extreme. Like I would say it's like an FLDS version of Mormonism.
Well, it's interesting because my view of it was that like I grew up in an Assemblies of God church and like to me it was so noisy. I felt like I couldn't hear God because church was so loud.
Do you have any like ADHD or anything?
Yes.
Or okay, that's why.
I didn't know this until like way later in life, but the church was so loud. Like the music was loud, the people were loud, that speaking in tongues was so loud that like I needed everything to just shut up so I could hear God. And I found that within Mormonism, it's a quieter setting. Like no one's speaking in tongues, no one's flopping on the floor, like none of that's happening.
You're like, this is boring. This is great.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, there's no drums, there's no smoke machine, there's no lights, there's no fog, like there's none of that.
A Pentecostal convert to Mormonism, that's a great cat for a missionary. Because right, you get to still have all because Pentecostals are very strict, right? Like there's at least where we were at, they like women still wore skirts, very patriarchal, right? And like it was like for us to give you like, but this is like the true way. So you still get like the patriarchy, but it's like nicer.
All the misogyny you love, just quieter.
It's all the
calm.
misogyny you know and love, but like in structure. Plus magic underwear.
Well, that feels like as good a place as any to wrap up part 1 of this double feature podcast extravaganza. Make sure you tune in next week to hear the conclusion. You won't want to miss it because we get real comfortable with each other real quick, and it kind of falls off the rails in the best way. Make sure you also listen to Tara's amazing show, Pouty Mouth Podcast, and follow her and support her too. Heathens gotta stick together. See you next Sunday. Stay blasphemous.
Hallelujah, I am saved, I'm so glad I am. Glory, glory,